Alright, what is up YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my Invoked, Invoked Beast deck profile, not deck profile, archetype video. So if you're not too familiar with these monsters, this is very much one of the biggest fusion decks right now, in combination with Shadal. The origin of these monsters is that they're actually based off of Alex Crowley, who gives inspiration to Alice Starr, the Invoked. Pretty much the brief history of Mr. Crowley is that he created the Book of Law. This is a book about magic and different dimensions and a whole lot of stuff that has to do with other realms and the magical resources and things like that. So if you actually do want to take a look at the man's whole bio and everything, you can actually just look him up. It's a very big telling story because it does have to do a lot with the Book of Law. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, the connection between uh, the main monster Alistar does stretch to a whole nother archetype, and actually the prophecy monsters. For when his Link monster came out, it was indicated that that was actually Alistar, whose light form took a veil and was pretty much redeeming himself for a lot of the things that he did, due to the Book of Law itself. Now, in terms of the archetype in it as general, it's a fusion archetype. And it does have some base of Link monsters, and it's a really good fusion archetype. It really is. And obviously, if you haven't seen it by now, there's a lot of decks popping up that are invoked, um, and invoked combinations. So you will see a lot of that going on. But we'll see a lot of these monsters, and a lot of their references are to, um, of course, the different dimensions within the realm of magic and those that do incite with reality. So, without further ado, let's actually get into it. And we start off with the monster that starts it all. This is Alistar the Invoked, known in the OCG as Invoker, Alistar. So this is a level 4 Dark Attribute Spellcaster type monster, and his effect reads Quick Effect. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one fusion monster you control, and it gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of the turn. If this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can add one invocation from your deck to your hand. So he's the only main deck monster, and to extend from Alistar and his magic, whether it was, light or dark, Alistar himself was pretty much trying, it's the story itself just tells how Alistar used his magic to summon other creatures from different dimensions to aid, to defend magic itself. And there was a whole big conflict between uh, the prophecy monsters and Endymion and his magical army. Now, in terms of himself, he did get corrupted, of course, with magic of his own. He became Alistar, the Invocator of Madness. This monster's effect reads, he needs two monsters with two different attributes and two different types. His name becomes Alistar the Invoked while he's on the field in the graveyard. If a monster is fusion summoned to anywhere that he points to, except during the damage step, you can discard one card from your hand, and if you do, you can add one invocation or one Book of the Law from your deck to your hand. If the face-up monster you control um, leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can add one Omega Summon from your deck to your hand. So this is Alistar himself being controlled by the madness that came from all the power that he was using through the Book of Law itself. Now, in terms of a lot of the, here and there with Alistar himself, um, yeah, it's just pretty much a whole, unleash of everything. In the OCG, he is called the Rampaging Invoker Alistar, and this is due to the madness itself controlling his, pretty much getting out of hand with the magic that he used. Next up is, of course, his light side, when he finally got a hold of himself and he was trying to redeem himself for a lot of the things that had happened. This is Alistar. This is Crowley the First Propheter. No, Prophecy. He needs two spellcaster type monsters. If this card is linked summoned, you reveal 3 spellbook spell cards with a different name from your deck. And your opponent randomly picks one and adds it to the hand. The rest are shuffled back into the deck. You only use this effect of Crowley, the first prophecy, once per turn. Once per turn, for each turn, one level 5 or higher spellcaster type monster are just normal summoned can be normal summoned without tribute. So if you can't already tell, yes, that is some of the structures that makes up one of the spell book of Star Hall spell book. That is the continuous spell actually for the spell book spellcasters, spell book and prophecy monsters, as well as some of the structure to La Maison, the field spell for the spell books. This is also an indication, of course, that he is the first of the prophecy monsters, which does increase to a lot of the things that Alistar himself uh, pretty much tried to do while he was under, the whole, was trying to get a hold of himself after he pretty much lost his mind. Um, and I believe in the OCG, his name is Magical Original Text Crowley, and that's due to the Book of Law itself. Now let's actually take a look at the spell card itself. This is the Book of Law. Its effect reads: you contribute one invoked monster, and special summon one invoked monster from your extra deck with a different original attribute from that monster. The special summon is of course treated as a fusion summon, and you can only activate one Book of Law per turn. So this is pretty much the start of both the prophecy monsters and the invoked monsters, because Crowley himself was the one that created and oversaw the Book of Law. When the Book of Law itself, through what I did really see from it, the Book of Law is what makes the prophecy monsters, and it's actually the book that they're holding in both either the Citadel Heliosphere or the Citadel the Crescent. And that is, the whole, or that's just the piece origin from the spell books to them. And then I do believe, it's called the Holy Book of Law in Japanese. Now, let's go over to the main spell itself. This is Invocation. So, Invocation says you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand. No, using monsters, from your hand as fusion material. If you summon an invoked fusion monster, this way you can also banish monsters from your field and or either player's graveyard as fusion material. And when this card is in the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Alistar, the invoked, and shuffle it into your deck. And if you do, you can add this card back to your hand. You only use uh, this effect of invocation once per turn. So this is very much the uh, method of which Alistar himself was special summoning, summoning creatures from a different dimension. In the OCG, this is called Magical Art of Invocation, and you can actually see one of the fusion monsters themselves getting fusion summoned from this card. The next card, of course, is Omega Summon. Target any number of banished invoked monsters with a different name, and so summon them in defense position. I do believe in the OCG this does have another name, and it's actually known as, as soon as my other text gets right. Sorry about that. Okay. So, magical name to Omega Thorn. And it's pretty much just Alistar's body going out of control, and all these various monsters popping out of different dimensions, trying to come into one dimension. So we got that settled with the main deck. We can actually start looking at the extra deck itself. We'll start off with Invoked Calligra, known in the OCG as Invoked Beast Alakagra. So this monster is a level 4 dark beast type monster. Needs one Alistar and one dark type monster. If a player's effect attempts to activate and none of the player's monsters can activate their effects for the rest of the turn. While this card is face up, each player can only attack with one monster during each battle phase. This is pretty much Alistar once he's become mad with power, and he's using he's pretty much losing his mind. And this is just an indication of that through the large amount of power that he had through this card and through a lot of this card's magic. The next monster over, I believe, is Raijin. Yeah, Invoked Raijin, known in the LCG as Invoked Beast Raijin. So this monster is level 5 Wind Attribute Warrior, and he needs one Alistar and one Wind monster once a turn during either player's turn. You can target one face-up monster you're on the field and change it to face-down defense position. So Raijin is actually based off of the Japanese beast Raijin. And Raijin himself is known for using lightning, which is funny because he's a warrior type. But yeah, that is the indication of Raijin himself um, being the beast of thunder, being the god of thunder. As for more so, you hear it in this variation of his name. Um, and not too much of his Japanese name. Maybe it does have some text to the warrior Raijin. But yeah, that is the wind monster. Next up is Invoked Kagatis. No, yeah, Invoked Korakasis. Known in the OCG as Invoked Beast Korakatis. This is monster that needs one Alistar to invoked and one water monster. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and this card can attack while in face up defense position. If it does, your opponent apply the and if you do apply its attack for the damage calculation. So this monster um, is actually the monster that you see in Invocation being summoned by Alistar, the Invoked. There's this creature, I forget what this creature is based off of, but the art style of this monster, of course, was being summoned out of Invoked. Next up is Invoked Purgatorio, known as CG's Invoked Beast Purgatorio. This is a fire attribute fiend type monster. One Alistar, one fire type monster, and this card gains 200 attack for each of your opponent's monsters. This card can attack your opponent's monsters and control once each, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. So, this monster is based off of the realm of Purgatorio, which is the in-between realms of both the living and the dead. This is a monster, has, of course, the fiends within it that can dwell within that are said to dwell within Purgatorio. And the overall adjusted this monster you actually see in Omega Summon, where it's trying to break out of the summon itself and enter into one dimension. Next up is Invoked Aladorius. Am I reading that right? Agadustius. Oh, I'm sorry, Agadustius. This monster is known in the OCG as Holy Invoked Beast Archetypes. So this monster reads, you one invoked monster, one outside invoked and one fusion monster. When this card is fusion summoned, when this card is special summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. You only use this effective invoked August artists per turn. Once a turn, you can manage one fusion monster from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that managed monster's attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. So there's a lot of history behind this card. For it is actually Alice is actually Crowley, the first original prophet, and from what is told in the story, that there is a battle going on between Endymion and the prophecy monsters, and seeing that this is happening, that he connects the powers of um, the Spellbook Tower and actually infuses himself with the Spellbook Tower, becoming the ultimate defense to save his people. It is a crazy thing to actually see such a powerful creature being created. For this is one of the key cards that connects. Um, the invoked and the prophecy monsters, but also tells the story of the battle that is to be when it does come to when it does come to uh, the prophecy lore. Next up is what monster is next? Oh, invoked. Oh no, I'm gonna butcher this. Mala. Oh, Magalactia. This is the Earth Rock attribute monster. This monster has literally no effect, and its ability, no effect. It's just a really big beat stick fusion monster. One Earth monster and one Alistar, the invoked beast. I guess this monster is supposed to be an indication of an Earth monster or some type of Earth creature. I know in the OCG this is called invoked beast, uh, Magalalia. And funny enough, I think in Duel Links is actually a limited monster. I think just because of how accessible it is in terms of its summon. And yeah, it's one of the heaviest hitters that you can see. Um, Out of all of the invoked monsters for both its attack, defense, and I think it's the highest level of it, level 8. So next up is invoked Makaba. So, and this is known as invoked beast. Um, Merkaba. So this monster is light attribute level 9, and it's light machine. One invoked Alice, one of Alice already invoked, one light monster. Once a turn, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you can activate quick effect. Send one card of the same type, monster spell or trap from your hand to the graveyard, and negate the activation. And if you do, destroy. Oh, banish that card. So here's a confirmation of this monster's name, for its name is broken up into um, the text of Bringer of Light. And funny enough, because that actually kins to some Hebrew texts, as the bringer of light is known to be an angel that tends to ride on a chariot, which is actually funny because Invoke Makaba is actually taking inspiration from that. Then you do have its overall appearance of someone that can be very angelic. And then, of course, we do have the last card of the invoked monsters, and that is invoked Alessium, known in the OCG as invoked Beast Alessium. So this is the highest level of monsters. This is a level 10 light fairy type monster. One invoked monster plus one monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. It must first be choose your summon with the above feature material. While face up on the field, this monster tree is a dark earth, water, fire, and wind attribute monster. Once a turn, during these player's turn, you can discard one invoked monster from. If you control one, you can target one invoked monster you control, or one card in your graveyard, and banish that card. And if you do, monsters that your opponent controls with the same attribute as that monster are also banished. So this monster is pretty much and it's pretty much the world, or a Chris of the world, and that it being one of each of the attributes is just akin to the magic itself that builds about it. And funny enough, that it can treat itself as all attributes while it's on the field, gives it a lot of versatility itself. And this being one of the most powerful monsters, one of the two most powerful monsters in this archetype, because Makaba fitting next to it, and then you have the overwhelming strength of Magalekia. But yeah, that pretty much reads about all of the monsters here for the invoked archetype. And for the most part, even though I butchered a lot of the names, this is going to be one of the big spell, one of the second big spellcaster decks in the game right now. Just when you combine it with Shadow. But I don't want to stretch too long. Just before I go, there's one little bit of information that I did want to take. So you probably seen it when I clicked over some of the invoked monsters. They originally were going to be called Eidolon and Eidolon Beast. Alistar was actually going to be called Alistar um, the Eidolon and the Eidolon Summoner. The name of change actually had to come too, because the text and frame for Eidolon is actually something used um, by Final Fantasy. So there could have been some copyright issues with Square, because kind of technically, I think this was an inspiration of and it's inspired by Square in the world of Final Fantasy, because there is a class of summoners, and summoners have the ability to summon beasts known as eidolons in some games. In other games, they're known as espers, and these are gods and creatures from different realms that are summoned through magic. So just a little bit of history there for you guys, and that's pretty much it for this archetype video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I didn't butcher too much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you guys want to be informed of when I do upload more content. Thanks everybody for watching, and HPJ signing out. Take care.